Hello and welcome to this Photoshop text tutorial. Today we're going to learn how to create this neat text effect you see here, and we'll also be creating this background, which you could see a colored type background. Let's get started. I'll be using a white screen size for this. So file, new, 1366 768 6. Okay, and first of all let's create the background color. So let's create a new layer, and I'm going to zoom back here. Using my brush, I'm going to brush in some soft colors. So with my brush selected, I'm going to select a big size and no hardness. Make sure it's nicely big. Okay, and set your foreground color to a color you like. Make sure you take somewhere around this portion of your palette, any color. Select red, and I'm just going to brush in the corners here, edge. Okay, create a new layer and change the color. And slow the size. I'm just going to create a new layer, and we'll lower the opacity and flow for this one. Just some random color, obviously the ones you like, and just brush in here again a bit harder. Okay, once you have your colors set, let's set one last color here. Okay, once you have that set, let's duplicate all these layers, and I'm going to merge them. And for the top layer, I'm going to go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and just blur this a bit nicely, completely almost full. Okay, and let's do that for this too. I'm going to transform this above layer, so Control T, and just transform it one direction. I'm going to do that a couple of times, so Control J to duplicate that, Control T to transform, and I'm going to turn it one more time. Let's do that one last time, different angles. Okay, and let's blur them all again, so each separately. So file, filter, blur, just so that you lose those edges. Okay, I'm going to go to the next layer. I'm going to press the shortcut key Control F, which you could see it applies the previous filter we just applied. Let's do that for this. Okay, once you have that, let's merge all these layers, Control E, and I'm going to blur this one more time, not that hard, just a slight. Let's rather not do that because we lose our corner edges here. Okay, once you have this nice color, let's create another layer, and I'll zoom back here again. Okay, with my brush, I'm going to switch to black, and make sure you have a big nice soft brush, and we don't want a lot of flow and opacity here, so just going to brush in those corners there a bit. Okay, once you have that, let's brush in some more here, and let's turn this blending mode to overlay. Okay, so that it takes in the back. It doesn't make much of a difference, but kind of a bit difference. Okay, let's leave that above. Let's call this. Okay, once you have that done, zoom back to 100% here. Okay, that will be a color, or you could add in a few colors more if you'd really like to make a change. So you can adjust your brush size and switch to some purple color here, and just brush in some colors if you like, depending on your taste. You could just make sure you have your opacity set to a bit lower range, some greens, and depends mostly on how you like to do it. Okay, and you can just blur it again. Okay, once you have our colors ready, let's type in the text we're going to start with. So I'm going to switch to my text tool, and I'll be using this font for the text here, and let's change the color to white, and let's type in something. And make sure you type it in caps. Okay, let's type in something short here because we have to do it for each character effects here. So let's say something like world. Okay, and I'm going to change this to a bit more thicker version. Yeah, okay, once you have a thick one, let's make this size a bit bigger, something like that. Okay, we're just going to get them close to each other. So hold on your alt and click on your left arrow key, take that, let's center this. Okay, once you have that done, I'm going to just lower this opacity somewhere to around 20%, and I'm going to not duplicate this layer. We're going to type in the words again, but this time we're going to type in WORLD separately. So I'm going to type in W, and I'm going to change the font to the thin version. Then I'm going to type in O R. Make sure you type them all in as separate. All the caps here. Okay, L and D. Okay, once you have that, let's adjust them right above each of them here. Rather bring them one by one. There's this about caps. Yeah, like that, caps. Okay, and just adjust it right exactly in the same. Oops. Right. Okay, just going to adjust them right in the center. And I'm going to select all these text here and press on my type tool here, and I'm going to go to the options of my text and lower the height to somewhere, I think around 80%, so that it fits in the text there. Let's say 75. Okay, let's nudge this right on top. The D here has a lot of bend here, so I'm going to switch my text layer here of D and lower the width here to somewhere around 75% maybe. Yes, fine. Let's adjust that right in center. Make sure they are having them in centers. Let's adjust the O here. Let's make that 75. Okay, and you could play around with the R2 if you want. Not much, as 80 would be fine, I guess. Okay, once you have all that ready, make sure they are all aligned. So select all your layers and just click on the alignment here. Okay, once you're done that, I'm going to go to my W blending options. So double click on this layer here on the side, and what I'm going to do is add an outer glow. Let's first go to our fill opacity and lower this up to 0%, and I'm going to my outer glow and turn that blend mode to overlay, and let's increase the size here a bit. Make sure it's nice glowing. Let's fill that up. Let's bring this somewhere around 2. It's not fine, 4 is fine. Let's lower this to 90 and click on OK. Once you have that done, let's do the same effect to all these other characters here. So first of all, I'm going to lower all the opacity of the fills to 0 and right click, copy layer style. I'm going to select my shift key. I'm going to highlight all the other layers and right click, paste layer style. You can see that effect adds to all. Just you need to collapse all these. Let's zoom back here. Okay, once you have that, let's control click on the W character here. I'm going to hold on control shift click on every thumbnail here to select the character there and make a new layer. Let's call that shine. Okay, using my pen tool, I'm going to click, make sure you have paths checked on top. I'm going to click and drag inward. Let's make a curve on this side here. Alt click on it. Let's close this side. Alt click on this last tangent here and let's end up to our first point. Right click, select make selection. We're going to deselect this part which we just drew the path. Okay, make sure you have feather set to 0 pixels and press on OK. Once you have that selection on top, switch to your gradient tool and select white to transparency and make sure you have linear selected, and let's just draw a nice shine there. Let's do it the other way. let's move that to reverse. Yep, once you have that, let's turn that to overlay. It's not really helping. Okay, oops. Okay, that's once that's done, let's actually go and edit our text glow here. It's kind of too bright. Switch to overlay, just a slight. I'm going to copy that again and I'm going to paste it in the other characters as well again. Okay, I have a light night need effect. Okay, once you have that, let's add up some shines on this side to act like there is a reflection coming from the left top corner here. So first of all, I'm going to add the shines on these characters. So let's create a new layer and I'm going to call this world shines. Okay, and let's first select our brush size. So I'm going to my brush tool, right click on your document here, and I'm going to lower the size to I think around 2 pixels. Make sure you have foreground set to white and fill in your opacity and fill in your flow there. That'd be okay. And let's lower the size a bit more. Let's make it 3 pixels, and using my pen tool I'm going to just draw in a few paths here, like click here at this point, then right click, select stroke path, and make sure you have your tool set as brush. Click on stimulate pressure. Okay, and let's delete that path, hit escape twice. You see that nice shine effect there. Let's add a few more, let's say somewhere on this side here. Right click, make stroke path. Okay, escape. Here we got a nice shine. I'll be doing this for all the characters here. It's fine if you're on the same layer, it doesn't make any difference, because if you wanted to move them you'd use your marquee tool to move those, just in case you attached it in the wrong place. Okay, one over here, and I'll add one this side. Let's zoom in here. Oops. Okay, let's do that again. Right, let's add one here in the L and one here in the D. We'll add one right here at the bottom. Okay, once you've added your shines, you see that it has a nice, beautiful, neat, shiny effect there. Okay, and now what we're going to do is add some rays here from the top. Let's make a new layer, and I'm going to call this rays, and switch to your brush tool again, a big size brush, not that big. Okay, somewhere around, make hardness to 0, and make sure you have white set as your foreground. Let's zoom back here. I'm just going to brush in a few. Make sure you have your opacity a bit low. I don't want it a really bright light. Okay, let's just brush in a few white points here to make some points strong, not that much. Alright, now let's switch to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. First we're going to blur that a bit so it doesn't look we've drawn something there. Okay, and then once you apply that, let's go back to filter, blur, and select motion blur, and make sure you have it in the angle of the words depending on the shines you created. Let's do something like that. Okay, once you've done that, let's turn this blend mode to overlay, and let's duplicate that once. That's too bright. Let's lower this opacity. Okay, or rather let's delete that and make a proper rays here. Let's lower this size so that we have a real ray look effect here. Now let's go straight to our motion blur. There we go. That's what actually we are looking for. Okay, and now let's turn the blending mode to overlay. Once you have that, let's duplicate that again. Yeah, that's perfect. Let's lower the opacity here of one of them. Okay, cool, we have that. And what's left? let's add a slight shadow to our back text here. So going back to my world, I'm going to double click on the blending options here and select drop shadow. I'm going to add a really slight shadow for this, so around 40%. 3, 1, yeah, that's good. There we go, a nice neat text effect. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you could implement this on some of your designs. Thank you for watching and have a nice day. Let me know if you have any questions, and do subscribe to my YouTube channel. Ibrahim here, and see you later.